this is the Garden of Machuca. When the Alhambra was originally built, this would have been the traditional entrance for visitors who wanted to see anybody who belonged to the royal family, and also it was the entrance to the Hall of Justice for people who belonged to the court and different things who were involved in the decision-making process of the empire. All right, now to the east of the Garden of Machuca, we have the Patio de los Arrayanes, which in English is called the Court of the Myrtles. This courtyard is a really beautiful courtyard, very typical Arabic architecture, Moorish architecture. You can see the symmetry with the rectangular pool and the plants on either side, as well as the traditional arches at either end. In real life, the south end is the entrance to the palace, which they do not have here. That's the Christian version, the palace of Carlos V, who was a Spanish king. And then to the north end, you can see the entrance to the Court of Justice. The water in this pool traditionally served as a mirror that reflected the towers that surrounded the palace, and so the king could see what was going on in those towers. Okay. And now we're going to continue on. All right, now here we are in the Lions Court, or as they say in Spanish, Patio de los Leones, and this is one of the most unique aspects of the Alhambra. Here you can see a fountain that is surrounded by 12 lions, and this is very distinctive because in traditional Moorish architecture, they did not use animal motifs in their architecture. And so anytime you see an animal motif in the architecture in Spain, it's usually either a Christian or Jewish influence. There is really no known, it's not exactly known when or who made the lion's fountain, but traditionally what you're told in books and on the tours when you go to the real Alhambra is that the fountain was a gift of a Jewish king, and he gave the gift to the Arabic king as a sign of peace. The two were at the time being persecuted by the Christians, and so they kind of formed an alliance. And the 12 lions, if you follow that story, the 12 lions represent then the 12 tribes of Israel. And you can see the fountain flows out from the lions north, south, east, and west. Water is an extremely important decorative as well as spiritual tool in Muslim and Moorish culture. And you will see that a lot in many Moorish architectural buildings. You'll see water almost everywhere. It was extremely important to them, and this particular fountain spreads north, south, east, and west, representing the people going out all over the world, and the people from the from the Arabic descent who are all over the world. So it is a very interesting piece that we don't traditionally find in Moorish architecture. The court is surrounded by the traditional arches and mosaic tiling of Arabic architecture, as well as some of the stalactite formations that I mentioned in my presentation, these kind of dripping cement that they hung from the ceilings, which is a very interesting feature of the Alhambra as well. So when you come to the Alhambra, both in real life and in Second Life, don't forget to look up because the ceilings are absolutely incredible. Right, and now I'm going to just take you over to the fort, or the fort portion of the Alhambra, and there we'll be able to see that you can take a carpet ride and that kind of thing in order to get a little better acquainted with the island and some of its features. All right, this is the part of the traditional fortress that surrounds the entire Alhambra. You see it on the hill, you can see the walls of the fortress and all the towers that surround it. The tower behind me, that is the Torre De La Vela, which is the traditional watchtower. And that is where the lookouts would stand to watch for invaders, to notify all the other towers if there was something going on. To my left, you can see a carpet, and that carpet is the tour, the Magic Carpet Ride tour of the Alhambra Island. If you ride that, it'll take you on a very nice tour and give you some very interesting historical information. The Alhambra sits right at the center of what was once Jewish, Christian, and Muslim territory. And so it has a very interesting history as far as the way it has worked between the three religions. You'll see the Arabic influences, as we saw with the arches and the mosaics. You also have the Jewish Christian influence, such as the lions, and there's also in the real life Alhambra, there's the Palace of Carlos V, and many other things that you can see. Across from me, there is a map as well that you will be able to see, and you can see how it follows the map that I showed earlier in my presentation and just shows some of the aspects that are here on the island, which is very interesting as well. The Alhambra has a great history and is a very important part of both Spanish architecture and the history of Spain, especially since it is in that seat of the three different religions. In Granada, the city of Granada, you have traditional Christian areas and streets and neighborhoods. You also have an Arabic quarter where they have lots of shops and gifts and things like that, and you can experience that all on this island as well. The traditional Arabic shops, the bathhouses, the tea houses, there are all those kinds of influences that exist here on the island as well. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Alhambra and that you can come and visit real soon.